What's going on, guys? Welcome to the NorCal Sports Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And today we have a banger of a show. We have special guest, the coach from Coach's Huddle will be here to talk about the 49ers and their recent win over the Chicago Bears. It's going to be an exhilarating interview talking about the Niners as they demolished the Chicago Bears 38-13 at home and move on to the Los Angeles Rams this Thursday night. The Giants make a huge free agent signing Willie Adames with a 7-year contract worth $182 million. We're going to discuss that and the ramifications that will have on the team as well. We're going to talk some Golden State Warriors. They got a big game tomorrow, NBA Cup, and they got a big win yesterday as well against the Minnesota Timberwolves. All this and more, you guys, today on the NorCal Sports Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the NorCal Sports Report, episode 11 here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And we have a show today talking about the Niners, the Giants, the Warriors, a little bit of Cal Bears, 3C2A. It's going to be a lot of fun, you guys. I'm really happy to be here. Every week I love doing this show. I love seeing you guys, talking to you guys, talking about sports with you guys. It's just so much fun to do. So much fun. So today we're going to talk with the coach from Tough Up Front over on X. He has a YouTube channel, Coach's Huddle, and he is one of the hosts of Four-Man Front. That includes Jesse Naylor, who's been on the show in previous weeks. Also Grant Cohn and Ashley Ariana. So we'll definitely be talking to the coach about the Niners, getting his take on the recent win against the Chicago Bears. We'll be talking about that. Talking about Warriors, talking about Giants, making some news, making some waves. Can't wait to get to that. But before we do all that, make sure you follow IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube at IE Sports Radio. Also, check out IESportsRadio.com, where you'll find a full catalog of all the shows we have to offer here on the IE Sports Radio Network. And while you're there, go to IESportsRadio.com/shop, where you can buy merchandise to help support the channel. Definitely check it out. It's worth a Google. It's worth a Google. But definitely check that out to help support the channel and the network. Not only that, but you'll find IE Sports Radio on wherever you find your podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, you name it, we're there. Check it out. Wherever you find your podcast, look for IE Sports Radio. Especially look at the NorCal Sports Report. I mean, come on, man. It's the best show on here. I'm just kidding. All the shows are really good. They're all really, 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 really good. You can also follow me over at NorCal Sports IE over on X. That's the official account for this show, the NorCal Sports Report. And you can follow me over at Dre Area Sports on X. That's my personal account. Make sure you follow me on X and subscribe to my channel, Dre Area Sports, on YouTube. I go live at least 3 times a week, and I obviously, hey, you subscribe to my channel. I appreciate all the support, but also subscribe to IE Sports Radio on YouTube. I want to get this channel to at least 1,000 subscribers by the end of the NFL season. I think we can do it based on the amount of content this channel produces. Okay, so before we get to anything else, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. You can place an order for Planet Jerky Beef Jerky over at planetjerky.net. You can also follow them over at Planet Jerky on Instagram. We're also brought to you by Seal the Deal Wax Seals. You can place an order for Seal the Deal Wax, for the wax seals, over at IESportsRadio.com/Seal the Deal Wax Seals. You can also follow them over at on Instagram at Seal the Deal _wax seal. So definitely check that out. And with that being said, we'll take our first break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking 49ers with the coach. You're watching the NorCal Sports Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Minutes past the hour here on the NorCal Sports Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I'm joined by the coach. Coach, what's up, man? Thank you for joining the show.
What's going on, Dre? How you doing, bro? Welcome to be here.
I'm good, man. You're really loud right now. I love it.
Oh, you want me to turn down? Turn down a little bit better? Better?
Just a little bit.
Okay, how about now? Much better?
Yeah, it's better.
All right.
Well, dude, man, hey, it's great to have you on. I'm a big fan of your channel. I love watching. If you guys aren't watching the coach's play-by-play when he does it for the Niner games, dude, it's the greatest thing. I feel like I'm watching the game with you. Every time, and this is bad because this is what you don't want, but I guess you do want it. Every time the Niners fuck up, I go straight to his channel, to his live stream, and he's like, God damn it, what are we doing here? And I'm like, yeah, that's right. And then when we score, obviously I tune in as well. So it's great because when you watch it on X, there's always a delay, So after something happens, then I tune into the coach and I get his reaction to it. So it's a lot of fun. But, man, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. And I swear to God, I don't know what happened this past week, but the 49ers look like the old 49ers, at least from last year. What was your take on the game and how the Niners played against the Bears?
I mean, 452 total yards on offense, giving up only 94 yards passing to overall for team stats, rushing the ball over 130 yards on the ground. Some of my hot takes for the game coming in were, play the hot hand, make sure that we find George Kittle in the red zone. Brock Purdy needs to use his legs. It's just amazing to see what the team looked like when their backs were against the wall. And, and you could, after the game, they admitted as much. They said that, they were fighting desperate. You listen to the game, you listen to the sound off of the sidelines. Your Gross Matus comes off after his double sack reps in the second half of the game saying, hey, that's a playoff game. That's a playoff win. So their backs are against the wall. They know that they have to respond. The game that they had Sunday was nothing short of what we've been looking for the entire season. And not only just from the players, but from the coaching staff. I mean, Kyle being able to use Patrick Taylor Jr., Isaac Guerendo, Deebo Samuel, Keyshawn Vaughn even got some reps. I mean, everybody seemed to be able to get some reps at running back. You really like to see that Kyle was just kind of putting his best foot forward. And I think that's really what has been frustrating throughout the season is that we've been losing games, and some of them we deserve to lose, right? But what really sucks is when you just feel like you're kind of fighting with one hand behind your back. We shouldn't have lost that Arizona game. There's a lot of games we shouldn't have lost early,
Early. Those are heartbreakers, man. Heartbreakers.
Yeah. So, I've been very scrutinous of the team, as you know, but it's just the passion that's in me. It's what I did when I coached. It's what I did when I played. It's just the type of person I am. But it feels good to finally see these guys kind of use everything they got, empty the tank. There's only 4 more games left. I mean, what are we holding up? What are we saving for?
Exactly.
So I'd like to see they play desperate, and for what they get paid. That's American sports. All right. We are the ones who got to go schlep our jobs day to day and do the 9 to 5 and do the 9 to 5 song and dance. But, we come to this stuff because we want to release. We want something that's a piece of our own so we can go ahead and have some type of control over our lives. And the last thing we want to do is watch somebody who's living less to the standard that we have to live to just to make our day-to-day bills meet. And, slacking on the job is something that anybody will get canned for, So what I liked is, the common denominator over everything that I liked, whether it been the pass rush that we saw, running the ball, Kyle seeming to really be on top of, having a good game plan, especially early on in the game. Really the common denominator for me is effort. They looked like they really wanted to play. They looked like they were playing together. They were playing to the echo of the whistle. There were not a lot of tackles missed, just simple things that we know just aren't us. And it was good to see.
It was really good to see. And, I mean, going into the game, I had almost zero confidence the Niners would be able to pull this one out. Even though I'm a huge Niners fan, the way they've been playing, though, has been really bad. And coming off the Buffalo game, I mean, nothing looked like it was working at all.
Mm-hmm.
Coming into this game, or I should say, as this game started, they went and they drove right down the field, scored a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to sum it up, this game was over quick. We were up 21-0 just like that, and it felt like, man, where has this been all year? To see him use the play action, to see them throw the ball to the flat to Isaac Guerendo, and seeing him, getting those big gains, screen pass to George Kittle, which we haven't really done all year. And so there were a lot of things that they were doing in this game that I feel like we haven't seen all year. Even the play action pass where we threw it across the field to Juwan Jennings. Plays like that we haven't seen all year, and that a lot of us have been asking for Kyle to do all year. Go back to what works.
Yeah.
And the last time this season that I saw the Niners play like they did in previous years, especially last year, was in the second half against the Cowboys. When we came out of halftime, we were playing like the Niners. Like it was a lot of yak yardage, and they were getting the ball to Debo, they were getting the ball to Kittle, and we saw them doing some of the things that we've seen before. But then they kind of went away from that. You know, we didn't see a lot of the empty backfield. You know, we didn't see a lot of that. You know, it was a lot of Juszczyk was in the backfield blocking a lot of the time. I would say Garendo, he got blown up once as well, trying to make a block, which was kind of like,
protection.
Yeah, that's not good. But overall, though, man, this was a great game to watch. And it really, it felt like, man, this is what we needed to see for a while now, and it felt good to see them win. But let me ask you, you know, there was some talk about how after the game, there was, or I should say before the game on Saturday, they had a team meeting. And they had Brock Purdy and Demo Lenore talk in front of the team. And I think that's great that they gave them opportunities to kind of help lead this team. But my question is, when it comes to Demo Lenore, what have you seen from him this year? And have you been impressed with his play?
Oh, my God. What can't you say about Deommodore Lenoir? The best thing you like about him is that he's a football player, but he's ours, right? We got equity. We drafted him. That's one thing that you got to love. Homegrown talent, West Coast kid, went to school out there, went to Oregon. So this is somebody who wants to be here. That's one. Yeah. Two, one thing that you love about Deommodore Lenoir is that sometimes you got to find, it's got to come from the mouths of babes, man. Sometimes the truth just comes from kind of the lowest tier of practitioners on the team. And what I mean by that is that when Deommodore Lenoir first came here, he was kind of looked at as like a little rascal. If you remember, Deommodore Lenoir was kind of Brendan Ayuk's mentee. He was always up under Brendan Ayuk. They would go back and forth. They cut their teeth on each other. But really, it was very much top down. Brendan Ayuk was Deommodore Lenoir's kind of his pro, you know, kind of showing him the ropes, giving him his approach to the game, how to work, how to be first one there, last one to leave. And as you see how things have moved on, and you know, we love BA, but we kind of fell astray for a little bit in the offseason trying to get his money. You know, you got to break some eggs and make some omelets. I get it. But it's good to see that, you know, Deommodore Lenoir was going through his own contract negotiations the entire time. And mum was the word, not a word. Went and got his money, has always shown up to play. Somebody that's always been what we've been kind of looking for since we really lost Emmanuel Mosley. We really haven't had a homegrown talent at corner that's really done anything consistent for us for a while. I mean, we've kind of been outsourcing that position if you really think about it. I mean, outside of, we got Sherm back in the day, maybe Samuel Womack, which is killing me to see what he's doing across the league now. But we haven't really kept our guys. So for me, the roots stay with him. I love the fact that he's not just speaking up because he could be, you know what it could have been? It could have been Leonard Floyd stood up and said, enough is enough. You guys, you know, we need to have this together. You know, that'd have been a cool story. But we all would have been nudging each other like, he just got here. Yeah. Why is Leonard Floyd the one stepping up right now with all of these leaders in the room, right? So I like the fact that it was guys who understand what the culture is all about. I love the fact that it was guys who have been paid or who are going to get paid, a la Brock, right? Because Brock spoke, and they responded. You know, I feel as though that on a team, as the years go on, everybody's intentions get a little muddied. You know, guys get paid, your focus change, your desires change, your goals change. You know, life happens, you know. Everybody's not as hungry as they were in 2019 and 2021 and 22, right? Things are contextualized. So sometimes you need those younger guys who still understand the true message of We play every day. We play to the echo of the whistle. We're ultimate pros. It doesn't matter what game we're going to go get at the end of the year. It matters about the game that's in front of us. And guys like Diamador Lenore and Brock Purdy, they're kind of your pure souls to kind of cut through a lot of the stuff that's happening on our roster. So I thought it was something that was also good because they responded during the season. But it's also something that I've been looking for us to do in the future, right? Because we have to transition from what we had. They can't be here forever. So I like the fact that young guys are stepping up that are going to be here a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, they asked Brock Purdy about this today at the media presser, and let's hear what he had to say about that.
Today on KBR said that they chose you and Demo because you guys are gritty. We asked Kyle about it. He said you guys are authentic. What was your message to the team Saturday night?
I mean, I'm not going to go into complete detail, but I do think it was just important for, our team to hear, I guess from a guy on defense, Demo, and then myself, just what it's going to take, moving forward and what our mindset has to be, and at the end of the day, man, just playing desperate football with where we're at in the season and we don't have room for error. Like, now's the time to get up and go and to create momentum and energy for each other, both sides of the ball, playing as a team. And I think just hearing that from players and having it be a player-led team, it's important, man. It's huge. And so, especially with where we're at. So, yeah, that's what was said.
And I think that's huge. Of him as a leader to come out and kind of lead his team, him and Demo to come out there and lead the team. Both players have been playing really hard this year. And when we look at the numbers, Brock Purdy was 28-25 for 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 145.4 quarterback rating. He had a really good game. Now, we've all talked about the limitations that Brock might have compared to some of the other big names out there, like a Josh Allen or a Pat Mahomes. But I think that, Brock Purdy has played well. There's been some talk, too, about, should the Niners give him that contract where it's like $60 million a year or, the 60 to 65 million. Personally, I think they should offer him somewhere around 35 to 45. I think Baker Mayfield money is right on par with where he should be at. Now, if he came into this year, or let's say he played this year and was having monster numbers, then obviously that's going to change because your production kind of dictates your value. But to me, I feel like they should at least offer him a contract somewhere between 35 and 45 million. What do you think about the idea of a contract for Brock Purdy before his 4th year?
Well, I feel like you can go twofold with this. One, you can go ahead and just go full hog and say, give him everything he wants, right? $60 million. And, I think that would be a little bit forward, to be honest. One thing that I will say is that you got to be careful because there's 2 schools of thought with Brock Purdy. There's what the coaching staff feels about him, and then there's what the organization feels about him, right? In my opinion, the coaching staff, they know what Brock is. They understand that he saved their bacon and, he kind of came out of nowhere and did a great job with really kind of footing the bill. On the other hand, the organization, they're all about optics, winning games, right? And they know that Brock Purdy more than foots the bill when it comes to winning games in the National Football Game as far as face value is concerned, being the face of an organization. For me, I tend to agree with you. I think that Brock, he can hover around that Baker Mayfield deal. There's a couple of deals that I have in mind that I wouldn't mind Brock seeing. There's some deals that kind of harken back to the past. The Geno Smith deal in 2023, 3 years, $75 million, $40 million guaranteed at $25 million per. I wouldn't be mad at that deal. Also, the Derek Carr deal in 2023, 4 years, $150 million, $60 million guaranteed with $37.5 million per year. I wouldn't be upset with that deal at all. Also, if you really want to do it, we could stay right in the division. Dre, with Matt Stafford, 4 years, $160 million, $63 million guaranteed with $40 per year. The deal he got in 2022, and then of course there's the Baker deal. So there's many ways to skin a cat. In my opinion, I just don't believe that you go for broke. You try to hit the ceiling just, for what? To say that we did it? You know,
Yeah, exactly.
Outside of that, I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't say that there was anything that Brock has done to warrant it. And then also, too, how do we know that Brock wants that type of money? Now, I get it. All money ain't good money. And, I'm going to touch on this, even though it may be a little bit of a touchy subject now. It may be a little bit of a too soon moment. But Brandon Ayuk,
Yeah.
Stretching for that extra couple of million to get on the end of his contract, and then coming in and admitting, hey, I may have kind of put a little too much dip on my chip. I was a little uncooperative. I could have done better. And to see, where he is right now at 30 million per, and with 2 injuries on a serious knee, come on, let's be honest, Dre. He's gonna come back, and let's say at 27 or at 28, okay, whatever he could have signed at, I'm gonna tell you, he has that extra 2 to 3 more million that he'd left on the table would have been the grace that we would give him coming back off this injury.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Now, at 30 per, all right, we're looking at you to hit the ground running, Jack. Okay?
Yep.
As soon as you
Absolutely.
get this, come on. And anybody from a human standpoint that would want to say, well, we got to wait on him. We got to see what's going on. Not at 30 million, bruh. Something's got to happen, right? So either you're going to take a pay cut and kind of give back those funds, or you're going to get out there and be something that we know is pretty much an uphill battle, fresh off of 2 major injuries to one knee. So I think Brock sees stuff like that. I think that Brock sits back and could see a Christian McCaffrey, who was the highest paid running back in the NFL, and then doubles down right when his guaranteed money comes out and then gets paid again. There's a lot of deals and kind of, I can say, sins that have been happening contractually on this team. And I just think that if the Yorks believe that Brock Purdy is anything the type of man that they think he is, then Brock himself has to see this and understands that, hey, man, I want to be in a partnership with my organization.
Absolutely.
There's a difference, man. There's a difference. You can either get to the table, right? You can get to the buffet and try to fit literally every piece of food on your plate and look like a complete hog and not get everything but ruin it all for everybody. Or you can go up there politely, take what you need, and understand that there's room to fight another day. I'm going to come back up here, right? So my thing is that I see just how Brock is moving. Before he's even gotten this payday, he's very much trying to be in lockstep with the organization. He's trying to be a face for the organization. And I think that quarterbacks, when it comes to quarterbacks, not necessarily any other position that's a little bit fleeting as far as injury is concerned, but quarterback is an equity position. It's not like a receiver. They're going to be sitting there looking to set up to be there about 10 years, especially if you get an organization that believes in you. So I think Brock is going to look at it this way. 40 million with Brock right now will be more than enough. And I'd be happy.
Absolutely. I think so.
I think so.
Because at the end of the day, when you start looking at the $60+ million, then you have to start comparing him to the elite quarterbacks that are out there, the superheroes that literally exist in reality, which is like the Josh Allens, the Pat Mahomes, the Lamar Jacksons. And he's not at that caliber. Now, does that mean he's a bad quarterback? No. But he's not at that level. And so because of that, that allows you to say, okay, well, we're going to pay you what we feel that you're worth. Now, is this a way of talking down to you, or to say, you're only worth this much because you're not as good as these guys? It's just, there's a separation. These guys have a higher pedigree. These guys have rocket arms. They can run. They can do all kinds of stuff. When you watch Josh Allen or you watch Lamar Jackson or, God forbid, Pat Mahomes, you see a clear difference in what they can do compared to a lot of quarterbacks in the league. So I think that hovering around that Baker Mayfield type money is where the Niners need to be at, and that's going to benefit them in the long run. Now, I want to ask you real quick about Isaac Guerrero. He had 15 rushes for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. I thought he looked dynamic. He looked exciting. Granted, he sprained his foot, which I hope he's able to play on Thursday, which he was able to walk off on his own volition, so I would feel like he should be able to go. But what we saw from Guerrero, I thought that was so promising on what we saw. His speed, his catching ability, receiving ability. What did you think of Isaac Guerrero against the Bears?
My word, Dre. If you caught any of the live watch show against the Bears, because I know you did, but man, my heart sang watching this kid finally get more carries, man.
Yeah.
I love his skill set. He is an unorthodox runner, okay? He runs high, all right? Doesn't necessarily run behind his pads yet, but he gets away with that because he's such a big body. He's over 230 pounds. So what happens is that he casts a big target for tacklers to kind of get into his pads and get up under him. But one thing about him is that what he lacks in pad level, he more than brings up in foot speed and athleticism. He got stronger as the game went on. Rarely do you see running backs just kind of get a full slate, especially in this offense. It was good to see an entire menu, like him starting out slow, having a couple of good easy runs, getting stronger as the game went on, and closing out. Of course, we talked about about the foot injury that he picked up. But for me, I really loved just how he was running off tackle. They kind of got away from the outside zone because vision isn't really a strong suit right now. He's a young runner. Right. So inside of our run fits, you got to be kind of precise down there. And if you don't necessarily do exactly what you need to do, then there's built-in mechanisms for you to bounce, bang, or cut these routes on your track. And if you don't pick one of the three the correct way, it's kind of on you as a runner and not the offensive line. What kind of sucks about that, running the inside and outside zone, is that there's way too many keys for running backs to have to go after with the offensive line as bad as ours. So for me, I like to be able to get these guys going downhill. The shortest distance to the touchdown, to the end zone, is north to south, not east to west. And for me, we ran some things like duo, right? Running some north-south body-on-body gap schemes. Love the fact that we got Isaac Guerrero hitting up inside the seams quick. There was one of his best runs for me against the Bears was just a 3-yard inside run. But I'm talking about he got stopped in the backfield, hit 2 jump cuts, evaded one guy, pushed past another, and lunged forward for an extra 2 yards to finish off what would have been a tackle behind a line of scrimmage for loss. That right there for me is telling me that you're feeling it as a running back. Like your synapses is firing, right? You're not thinking, you're just responding, right?
No, so he's looking more and more confident every time he gets the ball, and that's what I love seeing from Guerrero.
He's definitely more comfortable. And that's the thing with running backs. I put out a tweet about a week ago and I kind of got some traction on it. I really didn't mean for it, but I didn't like the usage and the tempo and the workload of Christian McCaffrey and JP Mason by Kyle Shanahan. It really confused me. I didn't understand how you got a guy like Jordan Mason that you had to play because Christian wasn't here. Granted, gotcha. But then you get a game against the Seahawks where Isaac Guerrero basically shows you I can handle the game, right? I may not be able to do everything inside of your offense, but there's ways for you to get me loose on here. As a coach, man, it's your job to unleash guys on the field, bro. That's your job.
Absolutely.
It is not your job to tell another player why he can't be on the field. That's not your job, okay? And for me, I feel as though that because we've had so many good players for longer than usual, right? About 4 to 5 years, which is really a window that you don't get in the NFL. Yeah. I feel like Kyle has gotten a little comfortable. And because of that, without Christian, I felt as though that maybe he would just kind of wake up and understand, like, all right, I'm kind of waiting on this other shoe to drop, but it hasn't really dropped yet. And Jordan Mason really is good. And I was really scared or really kind of skittish about putting Isaac Guerrero out there. He really doesn't see things, but he kind of got away with something. And I just think that Kyle looks at things as one-offs, not foreshadowing, not like, man, let me try this. So what confused me is you don't have damn near the leading rusher in the NFL and then shut him down cold for a month, for 3 straight weeks. You don't do that.
No,
you don't.
don't.
You don't. And what really killed me is that and then the game that you choose to turn him back on, it's in a blizzard.
In a blizzard.
In the snow.
And he gets hurt.
And he gets, come on. And he hasn't run hard in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And you know he's not banging in practice. So it's like, what are we doing here? And then for the 3 weeks that we see Christian, what do we see? The first time that Christian even looked remotely himself was in that Bills game, the first half. Outside of that, he labored. He's not back. We need to see more Jordan Mason. It's just, for me, I believe that Kyle, he kind of uses this team like he's playing Madden with the injuries and the fatigue turned off. And he's just calling plays.
It really does, dude. It really does. And it's crazy, too, because when you look at, at Detroit, they got Montgomery and Gibbs, one who's a bruising running back, and another one who has all speed. And you look at that and you go, well, why don't we do that? Why don't we utilize our running backs the way they do? Instead, he wants McCaffrey out there every play. Now, granted, McCaffrey is an amazing player and creates mismatches wherever he's out in the field. But clearly, he was not in football shape when he came back. In the Buffalo game, he was running at a speed. He was running at a different speed compared to everyone else in the field. I was like, wow, this is intense. And then he got hurt. It was like, oh.
Yeah.
So, they said he might come back if we make the playoffs. That's a big if, because a lot of things have to happen for us to make the playoffs at this point. But one thing I wanted to ask about was Kyle Shanahan. Now, so far this year, it feels like whatever Kyle has done has not worked. Every call that he makes, it seems like it always backfires on him. Throwing that pass against the Seahawks on, on second down that Brock missed on Debo, that really cost us the game when really he should have just ran the ball. It felt like in this game, he was making the calls that all of us wanted him to make all year long. Even on fourth down, he was like, fuck it, I'm going to go for it.
Right.
And not giving the ball to Jake Moody, because I think even he was kind of like, you know what, I think Jake might miss the field goal. I'm just going to go for it. Fuck it. What do we got to lose? And I love to see him be more aggressive and keep the ball rolling, because the last thing you want to do, you're up 21-0, right? And then you kick a field goal, and then you kind of play conservative. Then they come back and they score a touchdown, and then they stop you. They come back and score a touchdown. Then the game's totally different, right? No, he stayed with it. Unfortunately, he didn't get that touchdown, even though he should have. But they got the field goal as it is. But I love seeing him be more aggressive, and he was throwing that red flag around everywhere. I was like, holy cow! So Kyle Shanahan. A lot of talk about, should the Niners trade Kyle Shanahan? I think Mike Florio posted some bullshit about that, which John Lynch shot down. What's your take on Kyle Shanahan? Do you think that he's a coach that we should stick with for the next few years, or would you like to see them make a change if we don't make the playoffs?
He's got 2 years.
Yeah.
He's got 2 years. Presidents don't even get over 8 years. All right, so let's go ahead and just level set real quick. What are we truly talking about? Kyle for 12 years, Kyle for 15 years. Like, what are we talking about? We're at 8 years. So it's time to have a real conversation. Not because we don't like them, not because it's personal, but because any NFL head coach that's been on a team for 8 years and doesn't have a Super Bowl, it's got to be some pretty extenuating circumstances. Like, we got to figure out what the hell's going on for you to even get this type of special look. So that's one. Two, I'd like to see some normalcy out of Kyle, because as far as I'm concerned, his tenure here has been polarizing at best. He's got 4 winning seasons and 4 losing seasons. Nothing in the middle. When he has a winning season, he either goes to the NFC Championship game or a Super Bowl. When he has a losing season, it's a dumpster fire.
Yeah,
like the
really
wheels.
Is.
Yeah, it's not even close. It's not even like an 8-8 season or 8-7 or 9. No, it's just complete failure. So that's another thing for me with Kyle. Now, I think that everything plays the same way. You could talk about the bad, you could talk about the good. That's why I said that he has 2, for a couple of reasons. One is the 4 years of success. All right. You can't ignore that. Right. We just came out of a Super Bowl. Our own competence as an organization is on the line as well. So we've got to understand that hey, we can't be the girlfriend who's too hot to trot at 45 years old because there ain't any good men out there. Nah, boo-boo, it's you. You 5 years off 50. If you can't hold a man, something's wrong with you. And we don't want to be the organization that looks like that too. We're not too far off from the Jim Tom Sula and the Chip Kelly fiasco. So we can't be seen making knee-jerk reactions, right? Because we'll scare off anybody else who's competent. That's one. That's two. Three, Kyle, he needs to own his mess. Hey, man, you wanted to be final say. You wanted to be the man with the plan. You wanted to be the only guy where the buck stops with you. Well, guess what, goddammit? The buck stops with you. You signed Trent Williams. You told us you stood on the table for Brandon Ayuk. You went to Christian McCaffrey's wedding and got him signed. You're the one who went out and made Kyle Juszczyk the highest paid fullback in the league. You're the one who has gotten all of your targets and productivity into Deebo Samuel. He hasn't given you anything since the Super Bowl, not even the Super Bowl. This is all on you. And the last thing we want to do is have an emotional reaction, kick Kyle out of the door, and then we got nothing to explain ourselves for anybody who else is looking at an aging Trent Williams and an out-of-shape Deebo Samuel, a hurt Brandon Ayuk, an old Christian McCaffrey, and an old George Kittle. It's going to be like, well, who the hell wants to come here? And you guys are in Cap L? What else is next? So a little bit of this is making him kind of dig his grave at gunpoint in a sense. Like, it's like, hey, you got to stay here for this. You're dragging us out of here. So that's the third reason. Also, I believe that if we are going to move on, it's got to be competent. 1 year to get us out of this mess, all right? And to see what we do with 1 year with everybody having a year to get healthy. Brandon Ayuk could be back by midseason. Dre Greenlaw will be back healthy. Tyler Hufanga will be back healthy. We'll have a full draft under us. Dominic Pooney, Malik Mustafa, Renardo Green. These boys will have a full season under their belt and be starters. We'll be able to do something with Javon Hargraves, which it seems like we already did something with his restructuring of his deal. And we'll be able to get a new batch of young guys coming in, which is fine. And we have to fix free agency. So there's so many ifs and buts that Kyle can hang on to, on top of saying, hey, man, I'm tired. He could simply just say that. Hey, we have played so many freaking games, coming out of a Super Bowl, losing all of these players. I get my coaching staff gets poached every offseason. Come on, it took me to the bitter end to find a DC. We were late on free agency. We were late on signing contracts. We barely knew what we were doing for the first round of the draft because the Chiefs jumped in front of us and took us Xavier Worthy, which I truly still believe that's who they wanted.
I think that's who they wanted. I really do.
And
they needed Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
They needed a speed threat.
Come on, man. And Kyle could say, man, if they show fight for the last 4 weeks, Kyle could just say, man, give me a fucking mulligan, man. Like, come on. I took you guys to the Super Bowl, dude. I'm fucking tired as hell. Kyle looks gassed.
He does. When you look at his, what he used to look like 6 years ago, he looks completely different now. One of the things I thought was important, though, was the fact that after the Bills game, probably because he was emotional, he did make a comment that I think was good. That he said, "Yeah, this team is not as good as the previous teams. Every team is different." I love that he said that because then I think the rest of the team was like, "Oh shit!" He's basically saying, we're not as good. But he was being honest, not in a way where it was degrading the team. He was being honest about his team, and I think that helped to further motivate them. Now, obviously, Deebo Samuel, you mentioned him earlier. We saw the post, not, what is it? This one right here. Not struggling, just not getting the ball. I don't know about that, Deebo. I think you need to check yourself because, he's not as elusive as he used to be. But, that is what it is. But let's talk about Rams versus Niners Thursday night as we wrap things up. We're talking to the coach, host of the Coach's Huddle over on YouTube here on the NorCal Sports Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. When we look at this game, we saw what the Rams did against the Bills. The Bills blew us out, and in this game, the Rams kind of blew them out, even though the Bills came back and made it a close game. This is going to be a challenge for Nick Sorensen and the defense to contain Stafford in that passing game because Kyron Williams really hasn't done much on the ground. It's all about Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and their ability to move the ball through the air. Now, our secondary is very good, and then getting Talanoa Hufanga back made a huge difference out there compared to Jair Brown, which I don't know what has happened to him, but he is now the Jake Brendel of the secondary, where it's like, hey, man, don't let him out there now. Let's not even go there. But when it comes to Thursday's game, how do you feel the Niners should attack the Rams, and do you think that the Niners are going to win this game Thursday night?
All right, so number one, it's not the Rams, but it's everybody who we play. We survive by our run game. We got to run the ball.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing against the Rams. For me, like I said, I'm not too impressed with their defense. I mean, for lack of purpose, they gave up 42 points to the Bills.
And they were up.
Yeah. So I'm not really concerned about their defense. Really what it is Matt Stafford. You can't let Matt Stafford get comfortable. If there was ever a time for us to start using disguises and turn up that defense to be able to put pressure on Matt Stafford, this will be the game. Matt Stafford is one of the most elite quarterbacks in the game if you give him time. If you let him sit back there and be comfortable, he'll pick you apart, and he'll do it all day with ease. One thing about it, though, is that he's a little older, and if you get him off his spot, he begins to get disheveled. He'll throw inaccurate passes. He'll let things go. He'll start making business decisions, kind of padding his feet, and that's what we have to do. Another thing that we can't do is that we can't let them have what, like you just mentioned, what they usually don't have week to week, which is a run game. Kyron Williams and Blake Corum are nice additions to what they do, but they don't necessarily have a run game that can carry a game. One thing that we got to do is shut that thing down early. Also, this is going to be a big matchup game. Tutu Atwell, Puka Nacua, these are the guys that seem to get open on their own. It's not necessarily scheme with the Rams, but it's about matchups. Guys beating guys one-on-one, playing backyard football. You see those things with guys like Matt, quarterback out of Cincinnati? Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow. Yeah. Joe Burrow did it to us with 19 consecutive completions over in Santa Clara, where if you give the quarterbacks like that time, they'll just go back there and just play catch with you and the whole day, So one thing about Matt Stafford is that he's got enough arm talent and enough savvy for him to lay into the weeds. That's another thing about Matt, too, is that he's a 60-minute quarterback. When we played the Rams, he was struggling, not doing that much. It wasn't until the last couple of drives where he decided to really turn it on against us.
You could see it in his face. He was like, I'm going to win this goddamn game. He has that kind of that moxie where he's like, no, screw this. We're going to win this damn game. I don't care what these guys think,
100%, man. I mean, you saw the next to last drive of the game that they had on offense, that nice over route in the deep third to Tutu Atwell to kind of close the game and get him within field goal range. The game was all but over. And that was just him kind of putting the dagger in us. So right now, they're friendly foes. We understand what they bring because they damn near run our offense. They're a little bit different as far as the weapons are concerned. One thing that's different about this team is that they're much healthier than they were the last time that we saw them. There was no Puka Nacua. There was no what's their other receiver? Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp didn't play against us either. But George Kittle didn't play in that game either. So we get George back this game, which is huge because he's turning on. Also, I'm glad that I brought him up. Spam George Kittle. I'm over it. He's the best player on this offense. Full stop. Let's stop it. You got to get him in the red zone. You have to get him in the seams. He opens things up for all of the receivers on the outside. Debo can't get open. Ricky Pearsall is a shell of him, so we don't know where Ricky Pearsall's been for the past month. It really is Jawan Jennings, whoever we have at running back, and George Kittle. So
That's it.
The biggest thing that we need right now is we got to get Brock to protect the ball, Kyle to get the ball out as fast as possible. One thing that I also like to do with this offense, because we don't have as many weapons, we got to start speeding up the tempo on offense. We're way too slow. One thing about, look at week 1 against the Jets, we were whooping the Jets' ass the entire game. What's the first drive that they got on us? That's when Aaron Rodgers and them, they went hurry up, right? Went hurry up against us, opened up, went over a 90-plus yard drive on us, scored. You look at the Seattle Seahawks, right? When they came up against us, against the second time they played us with Geno, hurry up. They started picking up the tempo against our defense. This last game that we played, when we played against the Bears, we were killing the Bears. What got the Bears going? They came into the second half, and what did they do? Hurry up. They started going tempo on us, right? So it's things like that where it's the game within the game. It's, I'm going to give you something that's a tick faster, a yard quicker, a play that's in a different quadrant of the field that we haven't been doing. And those are the things that help us a lot. Another thing, too, is that because we're so vanilla on offense, we basically have about a full month worth of screens that we can use every game because we don't run them. And we could do it for the rest of the season, and people will still be surprised. That's how little we run screens, that we could do it every game for the rest of the season out, and people and defenses would still be shocked. We need to run more screens. It's a cheat code for the offense. It keeps the defense balanced. It keeps them honest. They don't get to pin their ears back and blitz against us and twist and use stunts. They got to use a little bit more vanilla fits against us because they could stunt themselves out of a screen if they get too happy with that. But when you don't run it, you let defenses kind of do whatever they want to you. I like the fact that we've done screens. And then also, screens are yards that are unabated by runners, meaning that George Kittle is not the same athlete that he was. We see it on the field. But if you get George out in the open field, he can still be George. Right? You get George, you scheme George open, he can still be George. He just can't do the zero lifts anymore, where he literally just, New Orleans Saints game carries 4 dudes down the field. Like, those days are over,
Straight
right?
Beast mode, yeah.
Right. Like, those days are over, but he's still got juice left. So those are a lot of things that we could do. I'll close it with a little bit of an analogy. We can't be the Redcoats. We got to be the Minutemen. We can't stand out in the middle of the field against heavy cavalry, side by side, waiting on cannon fire. We just don't have the bodies. We got to draw these dudes past the tree line, get them inside of the woods, and play guerrilla warfare. That's how we're going to win games for the rest of the season.
I love it. Coach, thank you so much for coming on here and talking Niners. We'll have to do it again. I think Niners are going to win this game and get back into it, but we'll see how it plays out Thursday night. Coach, thanks so much for coming on. Guys, when we come back, we're going to have Drew Forder on the show talking Giants baseball. You're watching the NorCal Sports Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy Dentarius Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Minutes past the hour here on the NorCal Sports Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And now I am joined by my good friend, Mr. Drew Forder. Drew, what's going on, man?
What's going on, buddy? How are you, Dre?
I'm good, man. Dude, thank you for coming on here. I want to talk to you about the San Francisco Giants. Now, they made a big signing this past week, signing Willie Adames to a 7-year, $182 million contract. This is a big signing for Buster Posey, and it's his first major signing. And to me, when you look at what this represents, he's smart. He understands you have to have a viable shortstop if you're going to have success in the league. You look at the Giants, and when they went and won those 3 World Series, they had Brandon Crawford. Now, granted, in 2010, they had Juan Uribe running around out there, Edgar Renteria. But a lot of their success, they had a viable shortstop that was constantly there in Brandon Crawford. Now, this guy, Willie Adames, I mean, last year he batted .251. He had a lot of strikeouts, but he had 32 home runs and 112 RBIs. When was the last time we had a player with over 100 RBIs on our team? I don't even know. When was the last time we had a player with over 30 home runs on our team? It's been a while. Matt Chapman was close last year with 27 home runs. But, Drew, let me get your take. What do you think about the signing of Willie Adames?
I think it's Buster Posey, man.
Yeah.
It's Buster Posey at its finest. He has created some stability already. He was a huge part of the Matt Chapman deal. A lot of people said that Farhan Zaidi, he wasn't able to close the deal on that Matt Chapman deal to get that extension. And we're really at a point now where Farhan Zaidi, he's a thing of the past, and Buster Posey, he is, again, stability with Willie Adames. You know what you're getting with this guy. He's a gamer. And they're probably going to move Tyler Fitzgerald over to second base. That's something that they've been talking about. They like Fitzgerald. They like what they saw the second half of the year. And, that's an opportunity now to create some length in their lineup, to be able to have, again, a guy that we know what Willie Adames is going to do. He's played a lot of games the last few years. He's been reliable. And if Jung-Hoo Lee can come back and play and do what he was doing in center field, this team is going to look a lot better because of that. And think about what happened, Dre, just a couple of years ago. We had Carlos Correa. We had him. In our grasps. And, it went to hell because of that horrible physical.
But that was weird. The way that played out, I was like, whoa, what is this?
It was a horrible situation, and it was one of those things that really left me as a Giants fan and a lot of our Giants fans with a really bad taste in our mouth.
Yeah, absolutely.
That could happen, and who did that happen under? It happened under the realm of Farhan Zaidi.
Yeah,
he had issues with these kinds of deals. Obviously the Aaron Judge situation last year. I mean, what a nightmare.
What a nightmare.
He came to San Francisco and he played us. So. This shows, if again pending physical, I think it's going to be fine. That they brought in a guy that can create some stability in the lineup. He's going to play every day. And Bob Melvin, he's not all about the Gabe Kapler platoon. This guy, he's going to put you in the lineup every night. So I'm feeling good about it. Now I'll feel better about it if we can get Corbin Burns.
That would be a huge upgrade because we need to improve our pitching staff. At this point, you're looking at Logan Webb, Kyle Harrison, Robbie Ray, and then at that point, it's Hayden Birdsong, Tristan Beck, maybe. You really need to get that 4th starter. Now, obviously, I think if you get a Corbin Burns, he's not going to be your number 4 starter. He'd be more like your number 2 starter behind Logan Webb, who's the veteran on the rotation. But when you look at what getting Adames does to the lineup. Okay, so I posted this over on my community over at Nicotina.net. If you're not a member yet, go to Nicotina.net, join the community over under Dre Area Sports, and you'll be able to see posts like this. This was my lineup that I projected for the San Francisco Giants. Now, granted, I still have McCray in there because we don't really have a viable other option. But regardless of where they're on the field, I believe that if you have Jung-Hoo Lee leading off, Lamont Wade, then Adames and Ramos, or Ramos and Adames, I think that's where you're going to find more success. Then follow that by Chapman, Fitzgerald, Bailey. That's sort of how I see it. Now, call me old school, but I like having my big hitters in the 3-4-5 role. I saw, Bleacher Report put out one where it was like Lamont Wade would hit number 3. I'm like, I don't think that he would. Lamont Wade is an on-base contact hitter, so I think batting him in the 2-hole would be better because he's going to make contact. He's going to work the count, and to me, that makes a lot more sense. What do you think about the lineup? Where do you see Adames fitting in the lineup? Do you see him in 3, 4, 5?
I'm with you, Dre. Like, I don't want to see Lamont Wade hitting third.
No, I don't.
I don't see him as that kind of a hitter. And last year, if you remember, Lamont Wade Jr., he got off to a great start in April and even into May. And then it's like they went to like Mexico City or something, and then he was hurt, and then you never saw him again.
Yeah,
or
that was it.
No, maybe not Mexico City. It was somewhere else they went. I think that was the year before. But regardless, he got off to a good start, and then he was like gone.
Gone. You didn't see him. You're like, dude, what happened to Lamont Wade? He was
for like 3 months. I remember like coming to we watched a game together, and I'm like, where the hell has Lamont Wade Jr. been?
And he was one of the top hitters in the National League, and all of a sudden he just disappeared.
The guy had like under 200 at bats. Like,
yeah.
Like so as far as I'm concerned, I can't rely on a guy like that to be, for us. I need a guy like this. Is why I like this signing. I like Adames because he's a warrior. He's like a strong, physically fit, like the guy, he's a gamer.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy that I used to play slow pitch softball with guys that were just like really buff and strong, and I just feel like he's one of these guys, like he's going to be out there every day unless, he has a catastrophic injury. The other thing that I like about this signing is it just gives us more depth. I also like the fact that this lineup, especially the lineup that you just had up, we have a great mix of young players and older players now. Especially if Grant McCrae makes the team and you see him out there. Jung-Hoo Lee is still a young player. Tyler Fitzgerald is still a fairly young player. And Adames is still a fairly young player. So we have guys now. We've gotten away from the Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, kind of lineup, even going back further, Aubrey Huff, where, Marco Scudero, we're bringing
Casey
in
McGee.
Guys, yeah, exactly. We're bringing in guys that have, they have years left to be able to not only develop, but to be able to contribute. And there's a lot of balance in this lineup. Elliot Ramos, I mean, look what he was able to do last year. This guy was in our farm system for how many years?
Forever.
And he finally came up last year, and yeah, he had some injuries, but he was really consistent up here for almost the whole year.
He was, but when it comes to a guy like Ramos, it feels like again the Giants kind of like stumbled into this again, where it's like it's not like they brought him up thinking, hey, we're going to bring him up, play him every day. He's going to be, he's our talent. He's our young star. No, he came up and he made a name for himself. He proved like, hey, I'm staying up here. I'm good. And it seems like this has happened quite often with the Giants. It happened with Joe Panic. They tried every single other second baseman, but they said, okay, I guess we'll go with Panic. And then they won the World Series. Like, oh, yeah, we love this guy. And then he was gone a couple years later. But there's been a lot of players that they've turned to like, oh, let's see how they do. We don't have to go with him. And then they become a really good player, besides Buster Posey. But I think that having a guy like Buster Posey as, the president of baseball operations is going to help a lot in identifying talent. He's a proven winner, and I think he's the kind of guy that can seal the deal. He's the kind of guy that when he's trying to negotiate a contract, they're going to listen to what he's saying because he's a 3-time World Series champion. He's a former MVP, comeback player of the year, rookie of the year. This guy has a decorated career. And so it's easier for him to convince somebody, hey, this is what I'm going to do. You can trust me. I know what I'm talking about. Than Farhan. Because Farhan's he's just a nerd. He's just a, hey, how's it going?
Buster Posey, he was a lifer. The guy was a lifer from the moment he came up in 2009 and then really started his career in 2010. This career is all that he's known. This organization, is all that he's known as a player. And his, all you have to do is look at what happened with his family. His family, they moved back to Georgia, and then they came right back to the Bay Area because his kids were like, Dad, we hate Georgia.
Georgia sucks.
Like we want to come back to the Bay Area where it's like the weather's great. Like he has really immersed himself into this culture here, and he cares. Sometimes I didn't feel like Farhan gave a crap. like I was just like, does he even really care about this organization?
I feel like Farhan was more in his head about what he felt was right, as opposed to what the actual right move was. Guys, you're listening to NorCal Sports Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We're talking to Drew Forder. We got 351 people watching right now. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel, both Dre Area Sports and IE Sports Radio, and follow the account if you're watching over on X. So another thing that came up at the Giants was that, Buster even came out and said, because there was a lot of there was some buzz that Camilo Doval was getting a lot of, people were checking in on Doval about the possible trade. And what did Posey do? He came out right away and said, no, we're not going to trade him. He's too important to us. We're going to stick with him. And I thought that was cool because not a lot of guys do that anymore. I mean, Farhan wouldn't have done that. And so I think, hey, look, Camilo had a rough year last year, but if he can bounce back, he was one of the best closers in Major League Baseball. And so
you don't give up. Bottom line, Dre, you don't give up an arm like this.
You don't give up good pitching.
You don't give up this guy has a freaking golden arm.
Yeah.
Now, is he a head case? Maybe. Did he have a hard time? Maybe he had a hard time because he grew up in the big leagues with Gabe Kapler. Like, I'm sorry, dude, but Gabe Kapler, he's not a good manager.
No, Gabe Kapler's awful.
In two stints, he sucked as a manager.
Yeah.
Other than that 1 year. And even that 1 year, 2021, where they won 107 games, they were forcing Camilo Doval into situations that he wasn't ready for. He was not ready to be that guy. And why did Gabe Kapler put him in? Because he didn't have anybody else. He didn't have anybody else to come in. Remember in the the top of the ninth inning of Game 5 of the divisional series in 2021, when Camilo came in and gave up that run, and then
Bellinger.
Of course, the Giants didn't, because Wilmer Flores had that check swing and that stupid umpire called a check swing on us. Whatever. that was a horrible game. But Camilo Doval had no business being in that game at that point of his career. So I like what Buster said. I agree with you. I think you don't give up on a guy like this. You've got a great coaching staff. I like Bob Melvin. I was listening to him yesterday talk from the winter meetings, and I just like his demeanor. I know that last year was not, Giants fans that you're maybe listening right now, I know it wasn't the year that everybody wanted to see, but nobody was going to beat the Dodgers anyway last year.
Nobody was going to beat the Dodgers.
And I got news for you. We probably aren't going to beat them again this year. But what do I want? Maybe to close here, Andre, what do I want? What do I want from the Giants? What I want is consistency. I want consistency on a year-to-year basis. I want to know that they are competing. I want to know that they are bringing in the right people and that it's not a revolving door of guys I've never heard of. That's all I ask. And Buster Posey is not going to bring in a revolving door of guys that we've never heard of that are here on Monday and gone by Tuesday morning.
Yeah, it's ridiculous what Farhan was doing. And I agree. We need more consistency with the roster because these guys are like, I don't even know if I'm going to be here next week. I'm going to get sent down or I'm going to get cut. Who the fuck knows? Get DFA'd, But Drew, I appreciate you coming on here and talking some Giants baseball. I'm excited about Willy Adames. I still think that they're going to make more moves. I see one more signing coming. Then after that, it's about acquiring talent and players to help complement the players that we already have. But we'll see what Buster does. I think Corbin Burns is probably the guy they're targeting, but we saw that Max Fried just signed with the Yankees for like $218 million, I think is what it was. A big.
That was a pivot after losing on Soto. They had to do something quickly.
Yeah, I know. They're like, well, quick, sign somebody, quick. And we would have got Soto. That would have been amazing. But I figured for what Soto was going to be asking for, that's just too much money. But we got a guy in Adames who's only 29 years old. A lot of talent. It's going to be good. Drew, thank you so much for coming on and talking about the Giants. Guys, when we come back, we're going to be talking Golden State Warriors here on the NorCal Sports Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome to the 305, aka the Magic City, and this is Magic City Scoreboard. I'm your host, JB, and right here we're going to talk anything Miami. Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, Miami Hurricanes, Marlins, Panthers, Inter Miami, and even high school football. So join me once a week right here on Magic City Scoreboard on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed to all that is sports.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
Your wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
Minutes past the hour here on the NorCal Sports Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. As we wrap things up today, I want to talk about the Golden State Warriors. Now, the Warriors, they've won, they beat the Timberwolves the other night by a final score of 114-106. Now, this was a pivotal game because it came off a loss to the Timberwolves the night before, or 2 nights ago. And they came back and they won this game. Now, I like what I saw from this game because Jonathan Kuminga has really stepped up. Kuminga had 20 points, 7 rebounds on 36 minutes. Obviously, Steph Curry had an additional 30 points, 8 assists, and Buddy Hield had 27 points. If the Warriors are going to start winning these games, they got to start getting contributions from other players other than Steph Curry. Now, granted, Andrew Wiggins is out, and he hasn't playing well this year. But when you go against teams like the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have guys like Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle, they're going to get scoring from multiple different players. Dante DiVincenzo, Alexander Walker. So in this game, the bench didn't help out all that much. Kevon Looney had 12 points coming off the bench and 9 rebounds. That's a great game for Kevon. But Pajemski, only 6 points. It's a guy that I really want to see improve as the year goes on. But if we're going to find success, we have to get scoring from either Jonathan Kuminga or Buddy Hield on a consistent basis. And again, I think one of the problems that the Golden State Warriors are going to have is that they need a viable number 2 option on this team when it comes to scoring. Kuminga needs to be that number 2 option. He scored 20 points the other night in the win, but let me pull up the stats because he's been making strides lately that I think that needs to be recognized. Now, when it comes to Jonathan Kuminga, let me see. Here it is, right here. Let me pull up the numbers here. This is from the Drury Area Sports community. So, in the last 6 games, Kuminga has been averaging 19 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, almost 2 assists, almost 2 steals, and a block. He's shooting 45%. This is what we need from Jonathan Kuminga on a consistent basis, as he needs to be the number 2 option aside Steph Curry. He's got the talent. He's athletic as hell, and he needs to step up to be that player. We know that Andrew Wiggins is having a good year, but he's always better when Wiggins is the number 3 or number 4 option. That's just how he is. The guy has God-given talent, physique like many players would want to have, but he's better as the 3rd or 4th option. It's just kind of how it works out when it comes to Andrew Wiggins. Buddy Hield has stepped up. He did score 27 points in this last game against the Timberwolves, but there have been games where he's having a hard time getting open because defenses are running him off the 3-point line. They know, don't let him get open because he will burn you from the 3-point line. So Jonathan Kuminga needs to be that second option when it comes to scoring for the Golden State Warriors. Now, the Warriors do improve to 14-9. They are having a great start to the season. They did go on a losing streak where they lost 6 in a row, and that was very tough to see. But they face the Houston Rockets tomorrow, and the Rockets are 16-8. This is no slouch. This game will be on TNT as well. And this is an NBA Cup game, so we'll see how this game pans out. I can't wait to watch this game tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time over on TNT as the Warriors look to improve in the NBA Cup tournament, which, I mean, it's cool, I guess, but not really. I don't really care about the NBA Cup. But hey, why not, right? Why not? Why am I so high up? It's so weird. So the Warriors currently sit third they're third in the NBA Cup. I'm sorry, they're third in the Western Conference. So good on them. Real quick, let's cover the Cal Bears. Cal will be playing over in Las Vegas in the Las Vegas Bowl against the UNLV Rebels at 10-3. They were a ranked team as well, UNLV. So good to see that the Cal Bears were able to get that done and be able to play in a bowl game. Oh, let me pull that back. In a bowl game, so good on the Cal Bears. And then let's go over really quick. Let's do some 3C2A scores. And here we go. San Jose took down Sissacois 59-27. Foothill lost to Butte 33-27. Butte improved to 10-1 on the year. San Mateo took down Modesto 27-22. And Diablo Valley took out Reedley 27-7. De Anza lost 13-12 to Monterey Peninsula. Riverside lost to Mount San Antonio 37-35. But good on San Mateo. Hey, they're 11-1 and they won their game 27-22. Let's go CSM, baby. It's my wife went to CSM. Big fan of CSM. But those are your 3C2A scores. If you want more action, check out 3C2A.com. They have all the scores on there, all the news on there. So definitely check that out. And I appreciate everyone who's watching right now. We have over 442 people here in the room right now. If you're watching this, make sure you subscribe to IE Sports Radio. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, which is Dre Area Sports over on YouTube. Follow this account, NorCal Sports IE on X, IE Sports Radio on X, and Dre Area Sports on X. Guys, that's going to do it for the show. I want to thank everyone who came out here. I want to thank the coach for coming down and laying down a fire stream talking about the Niners. Drew Forder came in here talking about the San Francisco Giants and the signing of Willie Adames. Buster Posey getting it done. Will he sign another player? I think he will. I think Corbin Burns is in his crosshairs. But we'll see how that shakes out as the winter meetings are going to be underway this weekend. The Golden State Warriors play the Rockets tomorrow night in the NBA Cup semifinal tournament. Excited about that. I'm excited to talk to all you guys. Guys, if you're watching this right now, make sure you follow us on YouTube at IE Sports Radio. Follow me on YouTube at Dre Area Sports. Follow this account, NorCal Sports IE on X, Dre Area Sports on X, and IE Sports Radio on X. Will the Niners make the playoffs? We're going to find out Thursday night when they take on the Rams in a pivotal NFC West matchup. I can't wait for that. I'll be live tomorrow with CG Ruthless for another episode of 4th and 1 over on Drury Area Sports. Can't wait for that. Guys, we will see you next week for another episode of the NorCal Sports Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll see you guys next time.